here, and I'm in southern New Jersey, and it's cold. I don't know what happened. This time last year, we're building a deck in Collingswood, New Jersey. We had short sleeve shirts on, tank tops. One guy had a tank top on with his overalls. It's just cold. And it brings us to the question, I'm getting asked this a little bit, is when is it too cold to stain? And I'm asking this by customers, by the way. When is it too cold to stain? Is it too cold? Can we still stain yet this year? I've been getting that probably for a couple of weeks at least. And really, I'm going to defer like I do with composite decking and other things. You always refer to the manufacturer. So whatever the manufacturer says, that's what you follow, those recommendations. Now, let's break that down a little bit. When we start talking about oil-based stains and sealers, a lot of those need a lot of time to dry and cure. Some do, some don't. The penetrating oils that I've talked about, they usually dry pretty quick, and you can use those at a little bit cooler temperatures, the ends, sometimes even when there's a little bit of moisture. But again, you got to defer to the manufacturer. The problem with a lot of oil-based sealers and stains right now is the fact that you just can't get to them after like October up in the Northeast and a lot of places in the country where there's just a lot of moisture in the air, different times of the year. Then there's other products like water-based stains, or Deck Restoration Plus stain, for example. And then there's others too. Permachink comes to mind. There's some really good water-based out there for log cabins and decks and so forth. And a lot of times you're going to get from manufacturers, it can't freeze. So it can't freeze at night, can't freeze anytime afterwards, until it dries. And for a lot of those products, like ours, like an hour or so afterwards, that's all you need. But what you're looking at is really a surface temperature, and that's really where I was going with this video. Surface temperature is more important than ambient temperature. A lot of times when you're a contractor and you talk to some of these companies and some of these contractor-grade products, they're going to tell you as long as it's 40-degree surface temperature, when you apply it, if it goes down to freezing, later on or at night, you're okay. So the idea is the surface temperature wants to be 40 degrees or above. Now, some of you may say, hey, well, I want it to be 50 degrees, or shoot, I want it to be warmer than that just to be outside and do this type of work. The biggest issue with staining when it's cold out is, are the customers thinking about you? Are you thinking about staining when it's cooler out? Does it change or affect the longevity of it? And depending on the product, it may not. It may be just the same as if you did it any other time of the year. Personally, I think when temperatures are cooler and you're applying, depending on the product, they actually are better in cooler temperatures than those really hot temperatures in the summer when everybody's thinking of staining, because a lot of times they dry quicker because of the temperature in the air, and also the surface temperature is much warmer. So I don't see a lot of problems with a lot of the products, especially the water-based products. The problem you're going to get to is some of the oil-based. Now, you've heard me talk about penetrating oil-based, and you've heard me also talk about film-forming oil-based and water-based stains, both. So penetrating oil-based stains are going to go in, they're going to dry faster. They're better than the film-forming ones. The film-forming oils, like I said, you're pretty much done in October because they may take up to 24 hours to dry and cure. And any of those type of products are going to be difficult to use. Now, ask me when I've done this before. We stained a couple of years ago or last year in January. We stained up until Christmas time. It was warm enough to do that. And there are some years where it's exceptions to that. We also worked in February last year building decks, but it was too cold to stain a deck, and we almost waited. We waited till March to pick up our staining again. Really depends on ambient or surface temperature, not ambient temperature. Got to have an infrared thermometer. You want to make sure that you're getting your surface temperature. 43 degrees in here is a lot warmer than it is outside because it's in the 30s. But anyway, get one of these. It's going to make a big difference. So you're going out there, it's 40 degrees outside, it's 45 degrees, and you get on a house, a log cabin, a deck, and that sun's hitting it, your surface temperature might be 60, 65 degrees. I actually one time had a reading in January where it was actually, I think it was 70, 80 some degrees. It was pretty warm on one side of a cabin. That's going back quite a few years. So there are times when that happens. And got to always look at the surface temperatures. That's a bigger difference. And a lot of your manufacturers will tell you the same thing. What's on a can is there to protect the warranty and also protect, just the general public doing that. When you're a contractor, depending on their contractor grade stains and the product you're using, you can still extend your season by using different products. And it could be oil-based or water-based, full disclosure. I'm Everett Abrams, a Wizard of Wood, talking about when can you stain, when is it too cold, and so forth. It's going to depend on the product. Use surface temperatures and make sure that you check with the manufacturer. You should be good. We are. Thanks for watching.